think for now,
All right.
members, as we release Dr. Wale to attend to his other session, allow me to welcome the other three panelists. We'll start with Njeri Kabeberi on purpose-driven champions, and then followed by David. So Njeri, you can take the next 5 to 7 minutes just to give key highlights of the issues you want to talk about, and then we'll be able to open it up for discussion after the three panelists have now talked on their themes. Welcome, Jerry.
Okay, thank you, Andiwo. I want to pick it up from where Dr. Wale left about governments, maybe corporates, maybe civil society organizations, and individuals. My feeling and my understanding right now is that we need to zero into the individuals. I think there are governments around Africa that have tried their bit, but there's something else that's missing, and that's why I have started this program on purpose-driven champions, because we need to build champions within the continent who are able to take responsibility for our inactions or our actions. But so far, that has not been the case in the positive way it should be. So I'll give a few stories here. And I'll start with, since the year 1677, when the sperm was discovered by a Dutch microbiologist, Antony van Leeuwenhoek, scientists have confirmed that approximately between 200 million and 500 million sperms are released during an ejaculation, and only one, you, wins the day. So I begin by saying, do not terminate your destiny, because no human being is an accident, and you are not an accident. You are a dimension on earth that has never been seen before, irrespective of whether you were born with an identical twin or a triplet. That is why your vision has to be unique, customized, distinctive, and authentic to your needs and ability. Let me come back to Magic Johnson. When he was playing basketball, his vision was to become one of the greatest basketball players of all times. But if he did not have a greater purpose than his vision of that time, HIV or being forced to early retirement from a game he loved so much would have killed him. Sticking to Magic Johnson again, I would argue that his mission in life is continuously being accomplished. Remember my topic, I had said I'd be talking about purpose, vision, and mission. Note that making it to the end of an assignment is more important than the assignment itself. Completing a mission is therefore the general assignment to complete one's purpose. A dear friend from Cameroon said to me on receiving this invite that he didn't know I was an international award-winning woman. And as I thought more about his comment, it came to mind that my best moments in life have been when I have been most authentic in my actions. It is when people have noticed me. So life is a journey. Each one of us is journeying. Some know exactly where they are headed. Others are guessing. And others still have absolutely no clue where they are headed or if they are heading anywhere. I'm here to share with you that no matter how bad it is or how bad it gets, you have a chance to start dreaming again. You should not let anyone or any circumstance steal your dreams. Our very own Kenyan-born Professor Wangari Maathai lived her dreams to her last breath. I remember a few months before she passed on, I was in a meeting in her office, and she said to a group of us, I'm here, and you know my name can open doors. Use me. Little did we know she was living her last in this world, but she did not show it, instead choosing to contribute to her last breath. Living her dream and actualizing her purpose in life won her many accolades, including being the first African woman to become a Nobel laureate. A writer and motivational speaker, Dr. Wayne Dyer, wrote, "Who you are is the result of who you choose to process your life in this world and how it is presented to you. Nobody in this universe has the power nor the control to make you be any other way except the style you choose to be. Note, you choose to be. So everything we are, everything I am is Njeri Kabeberi, everything any panelist here is, and everything you are, you who's watching us and listening and wanting to ask questions, you have chosen that which you are today. An aunt of mine, Modoni Lekimani, is still writing books at the tender age of 95 years. Whenever I visit her, I am totally challenged by her resilience, commitment, energy, and focus at 95. Dr. Miles Monroe lived to the age of 60 years, by which time he had written and published 62 books. I have often wondered, how is this possible? Yet he was constantly on speaking tours around the world, as well as running the largest church in Bahamas and a multi-million-dollar business. How is it that he wrote more books than his years here on earth? Though both blind and deaf, Helen Keller, born on 27th June 1880, had the dream of one day going to college. She's best known for her writings, her pioneering work for people with disabilities, and her political activism, which landed her on the FBI watch list. As the result of illness at the age of 19 months, she became deaf and blind. Keller represents one of the most remarkable cases to date of a person who overcame severe disabilities to make outstanding contributions to society. She was the first ever blind and deaf person to graduate, and she graduated in a prestigious university, Radcliffe College in Cambridge, and the first woman to receive an honorary degree from Harvard University. I'm here to help you locate your purpose and potential, because at that stage, you shall become unstoppable to achieve your dreams. The examples I have given may have shown you that it does not matter what your background is, your age, or the challenges you are currently undergoing. The psalmist in the great book tells us, to humans belong the plans of the heart, but from the Lord comes the proper answer of the tongue. And further, in the same book, in their hearts, humans plan their course, but the Lord establishes their steps. Have you planned your life, or are you just passing by? Over.
Okay, thank you very much, Njeri, for those exciting remarks.
I want to come to what I wanted to talk about this evening. My fellow Africans, in building a lasting legacy, the big question comes to mind. Why is Africa still called an underdeveloped continent? Why is Africa so rich in resources, so rich in markets in terms of people, so rich in even the outputs? Still, we can't live our full potential. Why are we so good at lip service? And one of the things that came to mind is that in life, there are seasons. And that's what I want to talk about this evening, that there are 3 seasons that Africa has faced. And therefore, as I continue discussing the season, place yourself and see, in this season that we're in, is it your time to leave legacy? The first season or era is what I term as the independence era. In this era, our founding fathers were able to redeem Africa from the colonial regime. They were able to set the system of governance, and they were also able to establish the Organization of African Union, what we now have as AU. But what they wanted most was that we have an Africa which is united. His people is united. The purpose going forward is united. Our economy is strong when we are united. But is that the case today? The likes, when you hear the names Kwame Nkrumah, Patrice Lumumba, Jomo Kenyatta, Nelson Mandela, John Garang, and many others. These are the change makers who actually fought against the colonial barbaric regime. That's a legacy they left. Independence for the African nations. Now, who are the beneficiaries? Of course, the colonial masters, and many of them from the European communities, whom today you cannot match. And yet they came into Africa to pick resources in terms of human persons, human resource, who are slaves. They were picking our resources in terms of what we have as resource material. And it's happening today that we give away our resources as raw as it is, instead of giving it with value addition, for that to be able to bring more income into Africa and build Africa. So that season, the independence season, was determined by our forefathers. The second era or season is what I call the democratic era. In this era, we are seeing people who are fighting for the democratic space, the democratic champions, America leading the way. In fact, there are very many organizations that have put together indices to measure the level, the state of democracy in a nation. The African Union have the African peer review mechanism. The United Nations has something. We have something from Transparency International. There is the Economic Economic Institute unit that is also measuring the state of democracy globally. What we see with this democratic era, they're measuring nations. In fact, there's a very good study in 2019 that was done by the Economic Institute unit. They measured the state of democracy for 165 countries, and out of these 165, 50 were African countries. They have put them into categories. You're either a full democracy, or you're a flawed democracy, or a hybrid, or you're an authoritarian. Now, interesting enough, when you come back to Africa, it's only Mauritius that was determined as a full democracy. And it was ahead of United States and France. That means there's potential in Africa. Secondly, under the second category, where they're calling they're calling it the flawed democracy, this is where you find 17 African nations. You will find South Africa, Botswana, Ghana, and many others here, 17 of them. Under the hybrid, in the flawed there are 7, and then in the hybrid there are 17. So under the hybrid, these are most of the East African nations are Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, Nigeria is here. There are 17 nations under the hybrid. But what is very interesting, out of the 50, half of these nations are authoritarian. Now, in this study, they also say that democracy is not progressing, but there's a decline in democracy. What does that tell us? That for change to happen in Africa, it's not a group that will make it, but there could be individuals who have to act for change to happen in Africa. Let's look at the third category and see if what I'm saying will qualify it. The third era is now what I'm calling the technological and innovation era. When we think technology, we think speed. And we've seen what technology has done in the Asian communities. Remember, Europe made it during the independence era. Americans were champion of the democracy era. And now, who's left behind? Of course, Africa. In the technological and innovation era, The 20th century saw China coming up. Japan has been there. And then now the Southeast Asia countries, the Singapore, the Thailands, the Malaysians. Most of us Africans know this. We go to those countries to even buy goods and bring them. Some of our brothers and sisters are also studying in these areas. Now, during this technological era, when we're thinking of legacy, we are in this technological and innovation era in the 21st century. What we need to ask ourselves as Africans, for us to change the narrative, then what kind of legacy do you want to leave behind? I want to remember Wangari Maathai, our very own Nobel laureate, who is being remembered for trees. She told of a story, the hummingbird. And in that story, the essence of the story was, you don't have to be so big to make the change. You can start in your own small way, just like what we've done as Sports Invest Africa to bring Africa together for the change makers to start in their small way, and we make a movement out of this. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Irene. Participants, if you had Dr. Wale, I think I carried two important messages that I want to summarize as we proceed to the next. That strategy, when your strategy does not work, you go back to the drawing board. And the strategy is life and death for anybody who wants to succeed. And then he also said that if you don't make the change happen, the change we desire may not happen in our lifetime. Then I think we're hearing from Jerry one important or two key messages that I think I came out with. You might have come out with more, but let us change Africa's narrative together and work on your mission to the finish. Don't start something that you leave along the way. And who you are is who you choose to be. Locate your purpose and locate your mission. And I think Irene has talked about what kind of a legacy you want to leave behind. Do you want to be a technology champion? What kind of innovation do you want to focus on? Do you want to be one of the democracy champions? And she concluded by saying, individual leadership is key to any change process.
Okay, I'll add some information, Andiwo, thank you. I just wanted to say, working within the continent has provoked me to move from working with governments to working with individuals. Because you travel 5 years, you take 5 years and you travel back to Cameroon or Senegal or South Africa or any different African country, and you find that things are exactly where they were, other than maybe a few new molds, but the people are exactly where they were. They have not moved, their mindset has not shifted. And that for me is a tragedy. That yes, you can have, like in Kenya, you have many beautiful malls that come up, but the individuals have not shifted their mindset. And therefore, you still have people working, operating at the average level. And we're not going to change this continent if we are all average. We have to move beyond average. We have to move to a much, much higher level for this continent to change. So, so my emphasis on individuals is because I've used almost 25 years of my life, and let me just say maybe most of my adult life, trying to convince governments to give us our rights, trying to convince fellow civil society members that we need to fight for this right and we need to fight for the other, only to realize that the individuals are not changing. Kenya has one of the most beautiful constitutions today, and the reason why this company that I'm working for is called Chapter 4, it is recognizing the Bill of Rights, which is Chapter 4 of the Constitution of Kenya. But if I ask how many Kenyans are aware of that, first of all, that the Bill of Rights is under Chapter 4 and what those rights are, majority will not even know. So We fought so hard for a new constitution, but nobody's caring to enjoy those rights. Nobody even understands those rights. So there has to be a reciprocation of the individuals. The individuals have to start enjoying that which others have fought for. And I think Africans are not enjoying their lives as they should. They are not taking advantage of what even the governments have put forward or other people have fought for them.
Do we have any participants who is either chatting or raising any question or wanting to speak?
There's a chart here. With the leadership crisis facing most African countries, how can this critical aspect be passed and radical steps taken to advance economic growth? Leaders are autocratic. Why should Africa be subjected to European set benchmarks of everything? Call it development, democracy, science, and technology. Considering there is corruption that doesn't authorize change, why is the police still powerful to allow them enjoy as they should? What do you suggest if we have to counter past politicians and government bodies who still hold a lot of power in our African countries? What considerations are there to identify one's purpose in life? What areas of research are key in accomplishing strategies?
I will discuss generally because I didn't hear the questions very well. So I'll make a point. I'll make points on leadership crisis. I'll do something on corruption, and I'll speak something about purpose because those are the three areas that I think I'm able to. The others, one, I see some of them could have been for Dr. Wale, and unfortunately, we have not had anything on finance, which is very unfortunate. I think on leadership crisis, without having really had the question, I just want to say that coming back to my focus on individuals, and these individuals are African people living in this continent. I want to say that we don't have a leadership crisis. We, the people of Africa, have created a leadership crisis. We have chosen to elect people who do not deserve the positions that we have given them. We have chosen to take the shortcuts rather than looking for people of integrity. We have instead looked for people with quick money, cheap money, not even wanting to know where that money is from. So we in Africa, we the voters, have created the leadership crisis that exists in this country, in this continent. And it is from each and every country that we are talking about that has a crisis. It is the individuals. They have the power of the vote. That is the most powerful democratic power that any individual can carry. And we abuse it. We have abused that power. We have allowed ourselves to be misled. We have allowed ourselves. Remember, I was talking about every choice we make. It has been our choice. It has been our personal choice to be where we are as individuals. And therefore, the choices we make for our leadership are our personal choices. So it is wrong for us to sit there and complain when we are given an opportunity to elect between good leaders and bad leaders, and we pick the bad leaders. So that's why we need to have champions for Africa who are brave enough and who can stand firm for this continent and say enough is enough and no to bad leadership. And the same with corruption. Many of our countries, we know who is corrupt. We are able to identify corruption through people's income. You can be able to tell that this person must have been corrupt because the income does not collaborate with the money that they earn. And yet, we allow these people to just go scot-free and continue and put them in positions of leadership, and where they continue to steal more from the ordinary citizens. So again, it is our problem as individuals. And that's why the individual must change. The individual in Africa must change. They must change their outlook, and they must change how they look at politics, how they look at the economy, and how they look at themselves, their own personal value. What is their value? And therefore, why do they allow things to become so bad? And finally, I'm just going to comment on purpose, and they will just that one, because I think that one is my kind of pet subject right now, and nobody else maybe will be able to do it. I think if every individual found their purpose in life, because purpose is God-given, you have to find it from a space, from a particular space. You need to be in that space to find your purpose. If we found our purpose, we would reduce the mess in our continent. But because we haven't found our purpose, majority of us are those ones that are just passing by. Passing by, life is passing them by, and they're also passing through life. Majority of us are that way.
What we need to do is, as champions and as change makers, we need to take on Africa to the next level. You can see with all this technology, we would have, if we had done something as Africans, then we would have moved forward. So let us be encouraged as individuals and as African change makers. Let's not wait for the governments. Let us not wait for the European nations, the America, the China. It is time for Africans to take on the mantle, and we move on as change makers in making a difference in this beautiful continent of ours. Let your name be written in the books of history that you did something and changed Africa. We want to thank you so much for spending time with us and having this conversation going. We surely will be sharing more information on how we want to move forward. But sincerely, many apologies for all these technical hitches we've experienced this evening in this webinar. May God bless all of you, and may God bless Africa. Go out as champions and as change makers in your small way. Make a difference. God bless you.